Welcome to Builds with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, and I'm joined by Tom Fishenden
Hello there.
and Matt Salvatore.
Ahoy, ahoy. How's it going, guys?
On this episode, we'll be covering the new Mega Construx sets that have been revealed for Halo Infinite. News has been trickling out ever since the New York Toy Fair in January, and we've been itching to discuss our thoughts on the sets that are scheduled to release later this fall. Before we get into the main topic of the show, let's chat about what we've been up to on the building front. Tom, what have you been doing? Have you been building anything? Have you been working on any projects? What have you been doing?
I've been doing loads of stuff.
Have you?
Yeah, so obviously, as you guys have seen, and as anyone who follows me on Twitter will have seen, I managed to get my hands on Smuggler's Intercept, which is a really, really cool set because it's the only set to exist that's based on a live action show. The only other thing it exists is a little Heroes figure based on Forward Unto Dawn. And it's a really, really awesome set of the freighter, essentially. I can't remember the spec for it, but it's the really, really cool freighter from Halo Nightfall that's obviously integral to the story.
So what do they call it in the show? It's like the sloop, or it's like a short. I'll think of it later.
Yeah,
but
it's something like, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, but it's like referred to a little bit differently. But it's basically
boats or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool like civilian ship, which is obviously something they don't do that often. So it's really nice to get it.
I didn't like it right away when I saw it, but it grew on me, and I did get it. So how was the build? I haven't built mine yet. How was it?
It was really surreal for me. I don't know if I've like helped a friend but build one before or something, and I just don't remember. But it felt really, really similar to something else, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. As I was doing it, I was like, this feels really familiar. But it was good. It's a good build, and you kind of strengthen up the middle crossbeam because obviously the design of the ship, you've got a really heavy front area with the cockpit, then kind of open space, and then the engines. And the way the top is strengthened up to make that connection quite solid works really, really well. So all in all, it's a really, really solid set, I'd say, and a really good build.
How's the playability? Like it, because it has some interactive features, right? Like it opens up, does the center section come out?
I think it's a good example of a set that's clearly for an adult collector, but it's still got some good functionality. So the cockpit opens, obviously, like you were saying, the storage cage comes off and opens up, and you get loads of different bits of cargo that you can put inside it.
Nice.
And then as well as that, you get a little terrain piece that comes with it. It's got some more cargo, and obviously they didn't have to include that with it, so they kind of took a step there to put something else in, just to add some value to it. And I mean, in terms of looking at the kind of unique value that this set has, it's one of only 4 sets in total that have got agent lock-in, one of which is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and this is the only version of lock you can get that's not a Spartan. So it's got some really, really kind of unique perks going for it, and it also has got the only current existing unhelmeted lockhead as well. So,
Right, get that sexy lockhead. I love it.
Yeah, very glossy. It's cool. And then the other thing I did, I built a little fire base.
Yeah, custom, right?
Yeah, all custom.
Looked awesome, man.
Based off of, I've actually broken it a little bit since the photo. I can't lie. I took it out in the garden to try and get some photos, and it kind of decided that the sides were going to fall off, which was fun.
Oh no.
Yeah, but basically all built around the kind of Wolverine turret, and then building downwards from that to make a structure with it that I'm kind of quite happy with, because obviously we don't get many structures. So anything that I can put together, I will do. But I'm now very tempted to take it apart and try and build something else instead.
Yeah,
so
very
see
nice.
what happens.
Were you inspired by the alternate build that we're going to talk about in a little bit?
Yes, actually, yeah, quite a bit by that. I thought it was cool. It's similar kind of green color. We're going back to that more classic green color. So I was like, do you know what? I'll give something like this a go and see what I can come up with.
Very cool. Nice. You've been busy. Matt, what have you been up to?
Not too much. I've picked up a couple of the Halo heroes. I got the ODST Lang.
Okay.
Yep, and then I got Overshield Chief. Overshield.
How do you like that one? That one, I'm torn on that one. I don't know.
I am actually kind of disappointed with it, especially because it looks like the armor is the shield instead of having like the armor and then the shield over it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, it's, light colored chief armor instead of like an over shield. It's just the whole armor's been made into the shield. So, I mean, obviously it's the chief design from you know, what we've seen, but I was kind of disappointed that there wasn't like it didn't look like it was over his armor. It was more that it was his armor. So, and then I was able to finally track down my white whale. Let
Oh yeah, Let.
Nice.
Yeah, I got him. Yeah,
very nice.
Found him on eBay for not too bad of a price, so I decided I'd pull the trigger on it. So I was very pleased with that. I got him here right next to me.
I love it when eBay. I love when an eBay seller shares his goodies for a good price, right?
Yep, definitely. He's still in the box, though, so I'm probably going to get him out soon. And then I've been fooling around with some customization on my Scorpion tank.
Okay.
The newest Scorpion. So I've been working on the front gun, the machine gun in the front. I wasn't a huge fan of the design from the actual set, so I've just been kind of toying with mounting one of the traditional machine guns on there.
It gave you 5 different choices, right? Tom, we can hear you typing furiously, by the way.
Yes, it did give you a couple of designs, but I was trying to get the, I guess it would just be like the traditional Halo 4 mounted gun.
Okay.
On top of that. I was just fooling around and seeing what I could do. But yeah, they do give you other designs on how to build stuff, which is awesome. That's one of the best things about that set.
And so do you do that for your own display, or are you going to use that in a project potentially?
Well, traditionally, I don't use the bigger sets in my stop motion just because sometimes it's hard to fit them in the set. But if I was, I'd definitely like to use the gun from a bit more of a functional position. If I was going to use that in a stop motion. But yeah, it would definitely be helpful to have a more sturdy gun. But yeah, and then also I've been doing some stop motion, so hopefully we'll be seeing that soon.
Yeah, right. Featured for the show, right?
Most definitely.
I love it. Very cool. I have been digging through a giant lot that I got. A buddy of mine, actually a local collector, and I have befriended each other. And we went in on a lot, but I have had all the pieces and I have like the least amount of time to actually build. So I've been like forcing myself because of the times. We're staying at home right now, right? I'm just forcing myself to go through and build everything. And so I have finally built my first Pelican dropship. It's right next to me.
Nice.
Nice.
There's only a few pieces that I can't find. I think they're in there somewhere. But so that's been fun. It takes forever to dig through all the pieces, right? Like I have so many pieces. Like I literally have an elephant. I already built a mammoth and passed it on. There's an original scorpion in there. There's this pelican. There's an elephant. There's like 2 phantom dropships. There's like this thing is huge. So I've been digging through that, and I enjoy it. It's a puzzle for me, so I don't mind digging through the pieces. And it's fun when you actually can complete a full set from it, right? You're like, oh, all the pieces are here. This is great. Although
that's an accomplishment.
Yeah. Although the problem is like, and I don't have many. I don't think I've bought an original new in box set from this wave, like the early waves back in 2010, 2011, 2012. Were the colors, and maybe you guys know, the green color, is it always not exactly the same between plate to plate?
Yeah. So it changed. So I know what you're meaning. It all depends, to be honest with you. When it's used products, if they've been stored somewhere where there's direct sunlight, then they could have sun damage, which would exasperate the difference between them. Because biggest regret of my life, So obviously I'm fairly young, so I've been collecting as I've grown up,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to have my scarab kept in direct sunlight, and
Oh.
you can tell.
Oh,
Yep.
You can
interesting.
tell.
Is there like
I've
a
Yeah.
had
line
that.
across, like where the sun like
Yeah.
cuts in your shade or whatever?
Luckily not, because it was like fully exposed, so it's all
Okay.
just kind of gone from this nice purple to this really iridescent purple.
Oh
Like,
man.
So no suntan lines.
Yeah, yeah, right.
in
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
fairness, I
interesting.
probably would have a
I
breakdown.
had that happen to me with the it's the Clone Wars dropship that drops like the ATTE.
The
Half of it,
ATOT.
yeah, I had half of it done. So I put it in the closet. I can't even look at it.
Oh no.
I'm so disappointed. I was like, so now lines and covers and everything. There's no sunlight.
I haven't considered that.
Yeah.
I'm doing all my building and displaying in the basement, so I haven't really run into that. But that makes sense, right? And I can't tell. Like, I'm sure some sets have like because of when they were made or how they were made at the time, or like the color is just a little bit different, even though they were intended to be the same. So
Yeah.
I'll sometimes I'll be staring at two different pieces, and they're like their color is a little bit different, but it's like, does it really matter? Like they look
Yeah.
really close. I'm just gonna
Yeah, I
go
do
with
know
it.
what you mean
Well,
by that though.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's worth noting that there's actually 4 different shades of green across the Halo line. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the classic shade of green, which was going until about 2012. Then you've got the dark green, which is what sets like the Falcon, the Vulture, and the
Mm-hmm.
Kodiak were done in. Then you've got the metallic green, which is obviously what the current sets have been done
Yeah.
in. And my friend who was at Toy Fair said that the color green for the Firebase, the Pelican, the new hog is actually slightly different
Okay.
than the current shade of
Hmm.
green as well, slightly more sparkly.
It looks a little
Interesting.
lighter too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super interesting. Yeah, so I've been digging through that, having fun, but also, kind of pulling my hair out to like, where is that piece? Where is it? And I have like 3 buckets in my basement. Everything's dumped out. I'm trying to sort while I'm, digging through stuff. So it's been interesting, but it's enjoyable to finally put something together fully. And then I'm gonna find a new home for some of these, which will be fun. Hopefully somebody is
Nice.
in need, which will be good. Anything else you guys want to chat about before we jump into our main topic? We've been itching. We've been trying to get together to do the show for a while.
Yeah. I say let's go for it. Let's
All
get
right,
straight
let's
into
do
it.
it. So we've been revealed to us 6 sets, really, right? Because there's 3 sets that you can buy, but they each have an alternate build, which is a new thing that we haven't seen. We've seen alternate builds here and there, right? Throughout the Mega Construx sets.
Yes.
Kind of recently, like with that Hornet, isn't a Hornet? I think on the app that they have, you can turn that into something
Possibly,
else.
yeah. Yeah, they've been
You have to
doing the same
combine
with
it,
the
maybe.
exosuits as well, where they're
Hmm.
2-in-1 builds.
Right.
Um, but it's always something that they've dabbled with. They've never really committed to it fully.
Hmm.
So a good example is in the past they would do specific sets that were themed around doing different builds. So they did a set called Builder's Forge, where you could build like
Yeah.
6 different things using the same parts.
Hmm.
So they've kind of dabbled in it, but it looks like they've really honed it and kind of committed to it fully now, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think Mega. My I don't know, fandom, my intrigue with Mega is like their quality has clearly gone way up over the last couple of years, and it seems like they're continuing to evolve and reinvent themselves a little bit. So it's interesting to see them out the gate say, here's the 3 Halo sets we're going to show you that are going to release this fall. I would imagine there's going to be some more, but here's kind of the pillars, the UNSC vehicles. We have the Mongoose, we have the Warthog, we have the Pelican, but then we're also giving you instructions to do these alternate builds, and there's this big question mark in the Halo community: are we going to see some boats? Are we going to see a hover bike? Are we going to see this fire base in Halo Infinite? Who knows? I mean, likely not. Likely the builders are just having some fun and helping show other ways to use their blocks. But it's been cool to see and speculate on. What are your thoughts on the 2-in-1 the 2-in-1 packages, Matt?
I actually kind of like them. I mean, I don't think I'm if I do get these sets, I'm probably going to keep them in their traditional builds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to stick to the Mongoose and the Warthog. But if I ever pick up another one, I'm definitely going to try out the fire base for the Pelican, because that looks pretty interesting. And it's kind of interesting that they went with these three: the Mongoose, the Warthog, and the Pelican, because they don't really tell you a whole lot about what we're going to see in Infinite, but it's just kind of something like the hallmark traditional UNSC, you know?
It's really its art style they're telling us, right?
Yeah,
they're saying, and we've kind of known that they're going to go back to, a combination of like Halo 3 era and the new era. So
right.
they're leaning further back, I think, further away from Halo 4 and Halo 5. So it's interesting to see, the toys, and they've released other toys, so we've gotten a little glimpse of what what we're in for, I guess, in Infinite. What do you think of the aesthetic overall, Tom?
I really like it. I mean, one of my favorite art styles to come out of recent Halo is the Halo Wars 2 art style, which I think really, really nicely kind of combined the classic art style and the 343 stuff, and it found like a happy middle ground for it. So I think if we're going back towards that kind of art style, then I'm quite happy. I was going to say as well, Mega have actually come out and said that this initial wave is all about kind of going back to the very core roots of the line and kind of rebuilding from the ground up, literally, as we'll talk about later, all of their kind of key pillars of Halo. So they said that with this initial lineup, they wanted to take some of the most iconic sets that they've done that represent Halo and rebuild them with obviously their new standards, their new colors, and give them that kind of overhaul for Infinite.
Yeah, so it makes sense that they would start with these because they are. It's kind of a a soft reboot, I guess, of the franchise. That's been kicked around in the Halo community. So we'll see what we actually get. But I think a lot of it is, of the game that we're expecting is focusing more on Chief, not as much on that Lock guy. Or some of the other characters. I think we all want new characters, but I think 343 feels like they need to focus on the big guy, and that's okay with everybody. But we're excited to see what happens. We also want new characters and new things to do, and new sets to play with. So I'm hoping that we see not just these traditional vehicles. I hope when we get to see some new stuff. It'll be interesting to see who the main antagonist is and what their sets look like.
I think
definitely
it's already a good sign that we've got obviously Covenant, because I think otherwise if you have a game where the enemy are the created, how do you make buildable sets based around AI that are in like computer systems and things? So I'm quite glad that it appears as if there's going to be some semblance of traditional enemies. I'm just interested to see to what extent that will be, because obviously, I mean, going off topic briefly with Mega, but in general, we just had the new novel announced, the name of which escapes me, that's set on Reach.
Shadows of Reach.
Yeah, Shadows of Reach. And people are speculating quite a bit what if the bad guy referenced in that is Atriox and it's going to be the Banished on Reach and stuff like that. So I think that there's definitely scope for a plethora of different enemy characters to suddenly overlap with this story and potentially come in and be a part of it.
Yeah, it'll really be interesting to see the scope of Infinite. I mean, the name makes it sound big, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of speculation on, are we getting a main campaign and then are we getting ongoing story? I mean, multiplayer is obviously a facet and needs to be a living thing for Halo, but there's a lot of people like us that are interested in the larger story. So what happens after the initial campaign ends? What does Infinite really mean? Is it Infinite is it pertaining to
Season 2?
Yeah, exactly. Are we getting more Spartan Ops stuff, only better? Or does Infinite is that term speaking more towards multiplayer? Or is it speaking more towards, what we're getting in the package that we're, buying for $60, or, if you're on Game Pass for free, right? So let's break it down let's break each set down and just kind of go through our thoughts. There are details out there, so if you haven't seen them, there's some videos. People went to New York Toy Fair, and there's some videos out there where you can get some close up. I know Halo Collector has some close ups video of the sets from that display, and then our good friend Kevin at Mega Construx has been drip feeding us with information and close up photos, and he's great. So we all, every time he makes a post, I think all of us that are in the building community just gravitate towards it and just have conversations back and forth based off in speculation based off what he's shown us. So let's talk about the Mongoose. Tom, why don't you take the Mongoose and
Sure.
kind of give us your initial thoughts on this thing.
Okay, so first thing, it's interesting because we talk about classic art style, but it's a Halo 5 Mongoose. So clearly we're sticking with the kind of backseat, back-facing design for the Mongoose, which, to be honest with you, I've never been a massive fan of. I prefer, like Matt was holding a second ago, the Reach style from the Mongoose, just because I think that feels really clean and really rugged. And I just feel like having your passenger facing backwards is a little bit weird when you want to use it as an offensive vehicle. But with that said, past my dislike for this particular art style from the Mongoose, this is the example of a perfect battle pack. Mega have absolutely nailed it. For $15, you get a Mongoose, so obviously a canonical vehicle that is a proper build with presumably a fair few parts. All the other Mongoose have been about £10 sets, so they do have a few parts. An elite mercenary, which is basically an elite in a combat rig from kind of Halo 3. It's got that same blue color. A classic style grunt, so based on the Halo Combat Evolved design with that unique face mask that was introduced in Battle on the Ring, with the middle part going up and over the head. And then 2 Halo Infinite style Marines. And the cool thing with these Marines is they've got removable helmets like the Battle on the Ring figure. And they have also got alternating armor. So one of them's got shoulder plates and the other one hasn't got shoulder plates. They've got different skin tones. And it just really makes them feel unique. So all in all, I think that when you consider those 4 figures alone, this pack is an absolute win because it's one of the cheaper items, presumably. I imagine we'll see a blind bag series and possibly some heroes as well, which will be cheaper. But for one of the cheaper items, you get a really, really easy way to amass Marines, amass Elites, amass Grunts, and crucially, by making it so you can interchange loads of elements on the Marines now, it also encourages you to have loads of unique characters rather than having Marines that look all the same. So a good example I always make is Alpha Packs, the Halo 4 Marine. I've got about 20 of them. Yes, they put a different skin tone in the blind bags, but that was really rare to come across. So actually, of the 20 Marines I've got, about 15 or so are exactly the same. Whereas with the Infinite design, because you've got loads of different things, like, we'll touch on when we come to the Warthog as well, another different design for a Marine. I think that it's really encouraging variety in the characters we've got, and that gets really excited, especially from a toy photography standpoint. Being able to have unique Marines now who are going to feel like their own characters in my photos is really exciting. Especially
having to go steal from Call of Duty or wherever you're getting your other heads, right?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Although, I don't know, I still think we need Commander Spock as a Marine at some point, so I'll make that
sneak it in there.
The crossover.
But so all in all, really good pack, and I'm excited for it.
How does the Marine variety, I mean, this is an interesting topic, affect the work that you do, Matt? Do you feel like you need that variety in the stop motion stuff, or is that, or are your productions more of a smaller scale that it doesn't affect what you do as much?
Oh no, for sure. I think having a variety it just kind of lends to having a bigger universe or a bigger world. Traditionally with my stop motion, usually I pick one hero and then I just throw them against a bunch of villains.
Sure.
But the same thing works for the elites. Like the elites have different skin tone and different armor variations, and so that kind of makes it look like, oh, he's not killing the same elite over and over again. And so I think it just kind of adds to it. I think Tom nailed it when he said this set is it's a great army build set. If you want to just beef up your army so that you have a significant force for whatever you want to do, like whether it's photography, stop motion, or you just want to play with it. I think it's dead on. I mean, I think the Mongoose, it looks a little like if a Spartan sat on it, it'd fall apart. But
right.
but I think it's definitely the idea is that the build is lesser to what you can actually get with the figures. And I think what I like about it the most is that these aren't like specific people or specific characters so that you can build your army. So it's not like you have like 25 bucks or 25 Master Chiefs. You have like Marines, and of course you can do practically anything with those guys because there's supposed to be numerous of them, right? So
yeah, exactly. I think it's
I'm
a good point.
go
Like the original Mongoose that they built in the early sets was just a tiny little thing. Like it was barely any pieces, and there's a charm to that. I kind of like that. But my favorite Mongoose is the Emil one.
Yes.
Like with the rear view mirrors and everything. Like this thing is sweet. I'm holding it in my hand right now. It's gorgeous. I love the color. I love the little build. It's fantastic. The one that we're seeing now is closer to that from like a structure standpoint, like a total pieces that are involved versus just a really wimpy little cute, I guess, but a smaller Mongoose, right?
Yeah. It does. It looks very similar to the Oni Mongoose that's available on the market at the moment, because that's modeled on the Halo 5 design.
I like that one. Yeah, I have that. That's a good one as well. And I like how they switch up the builds. Like this one has some different suspension going on, and I can't really see. I guess they do have a image of the underside.
Yeah, no, you made a really good point. We completely forgot to touch on the suspension, but that's something that they've never done for a Mongoose before.
It's a brand new piece from Mega. I don't know. I've never seen that before. Have you seen it in Lego at all? Either of you guys?
Oh,
Can't say that I have.
Fairly sure that I haven't. It looks like it's one of Mega's unique pieces, to be honest with you.
The suspension looks interesting because it actually allows the wheels to shift in position, right? So it's not so much that the wheels are locked in place, so you can actually have a little give, which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like, it's like an axle, right? Like, as you're driving on rough terrain or whatnot, the car would lean to one, or the vehicle would lean to one side or the other. But it's interesting that having built a number of Mongoose, how they always reinvent the build, right? And just this little tiny thing, but they keep figuring out new ways to recreate it as to what we're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, looking at it as well, this one looks quite substantial. Like there's a lot of line divides in the photo, so it uses a lot of small pieces.
What about this hover bike? Like, what is this thing?
I dig it. I like it.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool. I would love to see it in a game, like something like this. I think this one is probably the furthest from becoming a reality, but it's an interesting. It's an interesting design that they come up with. I've only seen a couple pictures, so I haven't seen a ton of like close-up details.
It has kind of like speeder bike Star Wars vibe.
Yeah.
It looks like it would do something like that.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody was saying something about there being concept art for something like this before as well. So obviously, when we get to the Hog, that's something that's very firmly based on concept art. But I'm sure that there was concept art for something like this as well, because I remember people were saying it was really cool at Mega, were going back like right to the roots of the franchise for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, anything else on the Mongoose before we talk about the Warthog? Any other thoughts? Oh wait, let's touch on the naming convention, because I feel like this is a lore channel, so let's talk about the Mercenary. So it's not we're not talking about an elite covenant. We're not talking about the specific faction that we're used to be fighting from a Halo standpoint, but we know is dissolved now. So we have a Mercenary and then a conscript. From a grunt conscript, and conscript means that like he's being more or less being forced to fight. With probably this mercenary buddy of his. So these little reveals, I mean, it's got to be a hint, right? It's got to be something that they're
Definitely.
incorporating into Infinite. So what do you guys think about the naming conventions?
Nope.
You want to go first, Tom? You can go first.
Yeah,
Man.
sure. So I think it says a lot about the story it will be getting in Infinite in terms of the fact that I get the vibe that the elites, obviously Helios is where the UNSC is at the end of Halo 5. So although there is a Guardian on the planet and it's going around slowly kind of trying to round everyone up, there's still very much elites who are loyal to the Swords of Helios. So
Mm-hmm.
because of that, obviously, any elites who do side with Cortana and the Created are going to be mercenaries, or they're going to be paid by her, or they're going to have some kind of motivation to do that. But I think the conscript kind of speaks more to the idea we were starting to get at the end of Halo 5, which is Cortana's Iron Fist, essentially, kind of terrifying people and forcing them to come around to her side and her perspective. Because I feel like it's a conscript because they're probably scared of her and they're scared of what she'll do to their homeworld if they don't ally with her, essentially. So it's very much like how the Grunts became part of the Covenant. They switch one enemy for another, and they're now conscripted by Cortana instead.
But I guess they can't call the Grunts created because they're not created. So they are, it makes sense. They're conscripts. Interesting to think about. We'll know more soon, but it's fun to speculate. All right, let's talk about the Warthog. Matt, do you have any thoughts on this beast that we've seen? Kevin from Mega Construx, he posted on April 1st. So depending on when you're hearing this, what else has been released? We have some new images of the Warthog. Matt, what do you think about this thing?
I actually really like this Warthog design. I think touching back on what Tom said earlier, is that it's kind of like that Halo Wars 2 perfect blend between traditional Warthog and like the more Halo 4, Halo 5 design. The keeping of like the I guess the metal bars that surround it really kind of highlight the interesting kind of duality of what we're seeing with what Infinite is going to be. But I think what really catches my eye about this Warthog is the suspension system underneath.
Yeah.
It looks pretty intense under there. And so I'm just wondering,
it does.
I'm just wondering how awesome what range of motion the wheels are going to be, because traditionally Warthogs have the suspension coming. So like if you're sitting your figure in the chair, it's the suspension system's right under it, but this one takes it on a horizontal idea, and it's connected more on a different idea. So I'm intrigued. Color's great. I like that.
One of the pictures like takes the whole suspension out, so we can you can actually get a good look at it and look at the build. There's a lot of pieces involved, it's less specialized pieces. It looks like there's one on top that might be specialized, but they're trying to build a lot of things with more standard pieces, I guess. And so they were able to come up with some suspension. I'm interested to see how what's the word, loose, I guess, the suspension is compared to what we're used to. Like the early Warthogs, it was very loose, but there was some give, or I mean, it wasn't give, it was just completely loose, but the wheels would pop up and down. Whereas some of the newer ones have like a specialized piece that gives them some, I guess some bounce to them. Whereas this thing, I'm not sure what to expect from it.
I also kind of like the chair design. It's a step away from just like the solid one chair piece that we usually get. This actually looks like it's a builded chair. So hopefully it's a little more room for the 2.0 figures in there.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about that chain gun? It looks about the same as we've seen. And the other, I think that looks pretty close. Maybe the way that the turret sits on top of the bar, I guess.
I think that's a new belt piece. It looks longer than the traditional one.
Oh, the belt? Okay. Like the...
Yeah. I can't tell if it's just because I'm really tired or...
It looks pretty close to the same.
Yeah, maybe it is the same.
To the bottom.
Yeah, no, yeah. Do you know what? I'm just chatting absolute because I'm tired.
So any other thoughts, Tom, on this thing?
So I absolutely love it.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, purely because I feel like this is the definitive Halo 4 design, or Halo 4 Infinite design. Because when you look at the amount that they've taken back to the drawing board and kind of redefined it, it just looks really, really good. I mean, you've got new curvature on the hood, for example. It's a lot more authentic to the original design of the Warthog. But then they've even gone as far back as adding those kind of like almost exhaust intake pieces on the side of the hog to add more texture to it. So it feels a lot more rugged than the kind of just flat sides of the other hog. And it really helps to communicate that sense of rugged sort of off-worldness that this version has got with the roll cage. And one thing I'd point out to you is the improvement of the light that's on the side of the vehicle. So when the Warthog Resistance version came out, which is the other kind of, in my eyes, definitive Halo 4 343 era Warthog.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a really good hog. I've got two of them. I've got one that's like configured with the rocket turrets.
Nice.
When that came out, I actually took the light off of both of them because they used the massive thick hose piece that we used to have. It was really clunky and in the way. When you look at this, they've clearly innovated because they've used what looks like possibly the Call of Duty weapon strap, or if not a new piece, to connect it up with a much thinner cable. And I just feel like that in itself defines exactly what this build is. It's taking the original, looking at what worked and what didn't work, building it up from the ground up to make it much more functional. And because of that, I love it. I think it's a really, really good example of Mega going back to the drawing board, looking at the different iterations of their builds and working out how they can make the best new version of it. So yeah, I mean, anyone who wants to know my full opinions can go and read the comment I left on this photo of it. I got posted because it's like a massive bloody paragraph of me just.
I did a whole podcast on it.
Oh, you did? Nice. Oh, well, the one we're on?
Oh, well, yeah, there we go. Part 2.
They, the body on the entryway on either side it looks like it's a one piece. Kind of on both sides. It's a little bit different build on the side, but to your point, Tom, it looks like they've enhanced what wasn't working and kept what was. So it'll be interesting. And they have I don't think anybody mentioned, but they have that little engine piece that's kind of right underneath the windshield too, which is interesting to see if I would imagine that's part of the Halo Infinite design and that they're just kind of pulling through.
One thing I would touch on as well quickly is the printed UNSC logo on the turret shield. Because I think that's a really good example of how far Mega have come with their printing skills. I mean, if you look at the level of detail on some of the hero figures now, they've really drilled down printing really fine details. So I think that's only going to complement future builds. I mean, you can see the light as well has now got the front of it printed to highlight it. So I think that we're going to see a lot more subtle details on builds in the future, which is quite exciting.
And touching on the gun, it is a return to the traditional Halo 3 fins because on Halo 4 they're connected at the bottom. Which I think, going back to your comment, Tom, that this is kind of like 343's definitive Warthog, which is like what do they think when they boil down the essence of the Warthog? What is the fins, the bars in the front? So it's kind of an amalgamation of what I think we're going to be seeing as just kind of the official Warthog.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say this is the official look. So if you look at the Wicked Cool Toys 3 3/4 inch scale Warthog, it's exactly the same as this, just dirtier.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's interesting, from like a personnel 343 personnel standpoint. I believe the studio head for Infinite right now is the guy that was the main art director for Halo 2 or Halo Wars 2, excuse me, Halo Wars 2. And so he's bringing a lot of that design sensibility into Infinite, but also listening to, and I think a lot of people appreciate that design, but also listening to the fans about what they want and kind of that nostalgia effect as well. All right, let's move on to the Pelican. I'm no expert in Pelicans, but I have two Pelicans sitting right next to me right now. The one I built, the dropship, and then here's the gunship, and they're very. I mean, they both resemble, a Pelican, but they're very different approaches to it because they're different, right? They are different vehicles. The piece count on this thing kind of took me back, right? It's 2,000 plus pieces, and these things aren't even close to that. So this thing must be massive.
2,000 pieces is around the size of a signature series set, which is crazy to me.
That's a good point, and I don't think it's the price point that I've seen on it. I don't think I think it's maybe $100, maybe. I don't know if it's more than that.
I may have seen 150.
Okay, 150. Okay, so that is going to be a hefty set. But then you also have that alternate build. And wait, we got to go back to the Warthog and talk about that alternate build. What about that boat? What do you guys think about that boat?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Like that gives me all like hopes. And who knows? But it would be fun to see some sort of water combat in Halo Infinite because we haven't gotten out of any of that. We had one weird level in Halo 2 where you like go underwater for a little bit, like you're in this underwater elevator. You like it's all of a sudden, what's the game? I'm forgetting what the game is, but yeah, you're underwater for a little bit and then you pop back up. But there's no combat in Halo that's water based. So who knows what they'll do with this? I think it's cool that they took all these elements, these pieces, and were able to create a boat from it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because it's just using the existing parts in the set. I was going to say, if you think back to the E3 before the E3 that we saw the Brohammer trailer at, the tech demo has the submarine scene in it. And that demo was showing what they're going to be able to do in Halo Infinite. I like how I was just going to say that's showing what they're going to be able to do in Halo, like the most broad sentence ever. But no, that's showing the kind of tech they're developing in Infinite. So why would they be developing things like underwater environments and things if they're not going to be needed?
Yeah, I mean, they built a whole new engine for this thing, so who knows what they're going to do. So it's got to be bigger than I think somebody did do like a peg count to look at the width, and I think it is a lot wider than the Pelicans that have been released. So be prepared for that. It's bigger. What do you think about the back that opens up? There's been some pictures out there about so traditionally, we get like an inside you can kind of pop open and you get to sit some reinforcements in there. But it looks like that isn't an option in this. I see maybe one chair, but I see there's like a command center that you open up in the back. Matt, what do you think of that thing?
Well, okay, so actually, I love the idea of being able to open up the side of the Pelican because if I did want to do like a stop motion shot of inside the Pelican, I could just open up one side and kind of have some action going on in there. Traditionally, the Pelican bay has been very cramped in previous sets, and you've never been able to meet capacity of what the game is. You know what I mean? So I think it's kind of nice that you have this open canopy in the back that allows you to kind of move around in there and actually kind of enjoy it. Now the actual like design of it isn't a traditional Pelican, right? Because it's missing a lot of chairs. It looks like more of like a base of operations Pelican, which is I think kind of what you would see if Brohammer was living in his Pelican for so long. You'd see him kind of make it his own, kind of like his own house. So I think that's kind of what this is going for, is that this is the base of operations for at least a couple levels.
Yeah, that's a good point. They weren't able to get, if you look at the Halo Infinite, I've seen a couple breakdowns on this, but the Halo Infinite trailer, it looks like there's side-by-side cockpit seats in that trailer, but this one clearly doesn't even try. I feel like that would be too hard to get to that scale. But any other thoughts, Tom, on this thing?
So I think that there's going to be some kind of play feature where you can like suspend the Chief, because obviously they're referring to it as the Master Chief ISO chamber on the back of the
Uh-huh.
And you can see like loads of like Technic rigging and stuff like that. It looks like it could potentially hold a figure up.
Oh,
And if
yeah, I
you
see
look
that
at
behind it.
the
Mhm.
back side, on the left hand side. So two things to note here. Firstly, that chief printed graphic that shows like the spec of his armor looks really, really cool. But also something that I've just noticed that I really appreciate. There's even printed details on the doorway. So if you look at what opens up, those
Mhm.
like yellow and red lights on either side are only
Yeah.
ever going to be facing inwards if you've got it closed normally. So I think that that is a really, really cool additional detail. In terms of the space inside the Pelican, I'm hoping that it's going to kind of be layered. So I'm hoping that these opening elements will only eat up like, say, 3 of the 4 studs on either side. So we've still got a nice spacious interior, but I'm not
Right.
confident on that. Um, I am upset that we don't have more seats. It's a
Mhm.
Black Series set. So Mega have specifically made the Black Series to be more adult orientated sets now. So I would prefer to have them more authentic and less about play features, but I get that it's a fine balance.
Mhm.
Um, but with that said, I think overall it's a really, really nice build. And I do just want to point out, if you look at the original photo of it that was posted on February the 21st, it was the reveal photo. The
Mhm.
figure sitting in the cockpit has got sleeveless arms. Who else has sleeveless arms? In what
Mm.
trailer? It's
Yeah.
Brohammer, baby.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get
Boom.
him, right? They have to put him in
For
there.
Yeah.
sure. If not in this, definitely in a Halo Heroes or something.
Yeah, he has to.
Imagine
It's,
that
Do
Halo
we?
hero is just called Brohammer.
but Brohammer is he's gonna die in the first level, right? Don't you think?
I hope not. That
I
would be
wasn't ready for
disappointing.
that emotional gut punch at 6 a.m. in the morning. Oh my god.
Sorry, just ignore me.
How am I going to get back to sleep now? I'm going to be having nightmares of Brohammer dying.
He'll die in
Good.
the last mission like Fohammer did.
Yeah.
Ah, man. That's gonna stink. Yeah, Halo loves killing off good characters.
Oh, or evil Cortana kills him to get to Chief.
Oh, there we go.
No. I
That
don't
That's
think we're gonna
that
be seeing evil
podcast.
Cortana at the end of the mission though. At the end of the game. I think we're gonna
No.
see substitute villain in here.
That's true. Yeah, we'll find
Didac?
out something else. Yeah, Didac's coming back. I love it.
Yeah, just have him pull a Palpatine, have no
Yeah.
explanation at all, and just be like, I'm back.
It's
Well,
gonna be
bye.
everybody. It's gonna be the Didact. It's gonna be Gravemind. It's gonna be
Rip and
Evil Cortana.
Moromir.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
Tartarus is gonna be back. It's gonna be everybody.
Oh yeah, man. Didac's gonna
Evil
come
Sergeant
running in, riding on the
Johnson.
grave mine.
So
Do
what about the alternate build for this thing? Let's just chat about that real quickly. This fire base. It looks pretty good. I think I mean it makes me want to buy two so that I could have both of these things at the same time.
Mhm.
Because we I think Halo has the Mega Construx focuses on the vehicles, right? I mean and that's for good reason. But if you want to play, if you want to have a setup or a diorama setup, you need those structures and having something, at least having some guidance for the people that aren't as creative is really nice. That says, hey, you can use all these pieces to build this cool little base.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's things I don't like about it. Like, I would probably get rid of the little satellite tower because it looks a bit
Mhm.
awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the side builds, like the little balcony, it's sticking out at one side. But as just a central firebase portion with a gate, a turret, spotlights, this looks really, really good. And I really, really like the way they've repurposed the printed tiles from the Pelican
Mm-hmm.
to actually add some really nice UNSC branding to it. This doesn't just feel like a base that has been built with the parts from this set. This feels like a UNSC structure.
Yep.
And I
Mhm.
think that that is a real testament to Mega's designers in terms of really making this work to the extent that they have.
Yep. Totally agree.
I'm just happy to see Mega Construct focus a little more on bases or things
Yeah.
that are more, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love the vehicles and I love the ships and stuff, but I just like the idea of having something to play around or play within, instead of just like just the ship. So I definitely like the design. I agree. The satellite looks a little flimsy, and the Covenant's going to take that out in the first 3 seconds of the attack.
The creative, not the
Communications are
Covenant.
down.
Created.
The created, yes. So, so actually, I like the design. I think it's like Tom was saying. I think it's a testament to their design that you're literally taking an air vehicle and you're making it look like, a base wall, which is fantastic because I wouldn't think you would be able to take the two and create something, right? Because Pelicans usually traditionally have lighter pieces on the wings and then kind of more angled pieces for the side. So just to kind of have a wall and this kind of base design is actually pretty fire.
Yeah, definitely. Have we seen? So we've covered anything else to cover off on? A couple other things to chit chat about. Go ahead, Tom.
We completely forgot to talk about the figures in the Warthog, and they're quite significant as well.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so the Warthog comes with Master Chief, and the Chief figure, we've seen quite a nice face-on preview of it. They've actually committed to printing some additional details. So not only has he got everything he needs, but he's got like little vents and things printed on him. And it's worth noting that this isn't the premium figure. They've said that the figure in the Pelican is going to be a premium version of Chief. So I'm really, really interested to see what that means, if this is the level of detail we're getting with the base version. Going back to customizability in the Marine in this set has got short sleeves, which I absolutely love. Now, I know you're all going to be saying, oh, but Tom, he could be the pilot of the Pelican. That means there's no Brohammer. But no, my friends, I'm confident there is a Brohammer. But yeah, I love that, again, they are committing to giving us really different feeling Marines across the board. But then the real standout stars of this set are the Jackal freebooters.
Yes.
Who look to be essentially modelled on the classic design, although slightly different, with new armour permutations. And in terms of Mega's rendition of them, not only are they super articulated, but they have created a brand new chest mold for them that is a lot more streamlined than the Elite one that was previously being repurposed. So it makes them feel a lot more slender and a lot more agile, which is obviously exactly what they're like in the game. So again, great to see Mega reinvesting in new parts and new molds with this line to make things feel as authentic as possible and to really go for that game accuracy that's so important with this line.
Definitely.
Yeah, Jackals have always just been elites with different heads, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So the fact that they put a little effort into creating a new mold for them, I think is great. Will you, we just recently got the skirmishers in one of the sets. Do you think you prefer these new freebooters, these new Jackals over the old figures? Will you throw all your old Jackals away and just buy up the new ones?
Luckily, the only super articulated Jackals we've seen are the Halo 4 and Halo 5 design. So because these look like they're going back to the old species, I'm quite happy to keep both alongside each other. I don't mind the Halo 4 and 5 one feeling a little bit bulkier because it just kind of distinguishes them a little bit more. And what I would say, I really wish that since they will have had planned that they were doing this, that they would have waited with the skirmishers. Because I think the skirmishers would look a lot better with this particular body and their armor set for this size. Because in Halo Reach, they are kind of very, very slender, very agile. They're almost like birds in the way they move. So it would make a lot more sense for them to be using this sculpt.
They're like feathered jackals, is basically what they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, I mean, if it had meant that, say, for example, they waited and just gave us like a grunt and I don't know, see, it's hard because obviously we've got a grunt and elite in a battle pack in this wave, so then what else would you have put in the sword-based skirmish? Because you can't do brutes because they're not in that mission. You do a grunt and an elite and you've got the risk of overlapping with the infinite sets too much. So really you did need something like the skirmishers or the jackals. So I don't think there was any happy medium for doing a new sculpt there and affording it in the spring line, which has traditionally got less budget anyway. But it's just frustrating to see that change so soon after we've just got it. If it had been a case of, we'll just reuse something else, or we'll give you a multiplayer pack with 2 lots of Spartans versus 2 lots of Spartans. Yeah, it wouldn't have been as popular, but then at least we could have got skirmishers with this new sculpt. But really, that's just petty gripes. I think overall is solid.
Yeah.
Well, no, I actually kind of prefer that there are different body types for the Jackals and the Elites in the Mega Construct, because I think it kind of lends to a variety within the Covenant species, that not all Jackals have the same body build, or not all Jackals are thin. Like, I think that it's nice to have that kind of mixture for it. I think personally, I've always kind of preferred the Halo 4, Halo 5 design. So these ones, they do kind of look a little goofier to me. So I mean, I think they're okay, but I think I prefer the more Halo 4 design. And then I think the Marine for this set, I think it's excellent. I love the idea of the rolled up sleeves, because it kind of harkens back to that mission in Combat Evolved. I think it's 343 when they're in the swamp and you see the guys and they got rolled up sleeves on some of their.
Oh shoot!
Some of the Marines have that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I think touching back, and I think I talked about this on our first episode with the Spartan 2 design. I love what they did with Chief's helmet, and I love the added detail. But again, that chest plate just looks too bulky for me.
Yeah,
he's Superman. Come on.
Yeah, I know. He's got that. Yeah. It just looks like he can't hold his hands together because his chest's so big.
Yeah, man. He's been working out.
He's been bent, lifting those weights. But other than that, I love the Infinite design for Chief's armor. I think, again, it's kind of like a nice blend of the two. But I think if they had just kind of scaled back a little bit on the chest plate, I think I would have preferred it a lot more. But
yeah,
but I did it.
One additional thing to note, and I bring this up because it is probably going to come in the Warthog with the Chief figure, I reckon, is Kevin has also debuted a brand new sculpted weapon that Mega have created.
Yeah.
And that is the MA40. So obviously the army style, very similar to the MA37 assault rifle that's going to be an infinite. And a really, really cool thing with this is the fact that the ammo counter is actually removable. So I don't think this gets discussed enough, but when you look at the MA37 in Reach, the ammo counter is actually on a Picatinny rail, so it would be removable and could be swapped out with other weapon attachments and things. So I think it's really cool that Mega have actually noticed that and gone the extra mile and made that removable with this accessory.
Yeah, that is cool.
I think that's also kind of telling of where Infinite's going. It because of the assault rifle definitely has that more Halo Reach design to it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's going to play into the story, or is it going to tie into Shadows of Reach, that they went back to get weapons on Reach or something like that?
Yeah, so it's worth noting, although it's very similar to the Reach design, it is a new specification of rifle. So I've seen, obviously Reach is the 37 and this is the 40. So I've seen a lot of speculation that this is maybe a more modified weapon. It's used by the UNSC Air Force or the UNSC Navy. And that would maybe explain why it's on the Pelican, which would be quite interesting. But I think just going back to what you were saying, Matt, with the comparisons of Reach, I wonder if this speaks a lot more about the general direction of Infinite, which is kind of at the end of Halo 5. When you think about the journey through that game, it's very similar to Reach, because you go from facing relatively easy enemies in the form of the remnants of the Storm Covenant to suddenly facing this new enemy that's entirely overwhelming and entirely powerful. Very, very similar to the gradual fall of Reach, where you go from one engagement in Visegrad that you think isn't going to be major to a whole fleet getting unveiled and suddenly invading the planet.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It should be very interesting where it goes. I am very intrigued and also a little scared.
I know.
I think that's the general consensus.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
I just hope, and I've always said this, I hope they're not so shameful of what they did with Halo 5 that they forget all the good they did with Halo 4, and they just double back on it. And I'm afraid that they're gonna, you know what I mean? And I think that's why this Warthog design gives me a little hope, is that they didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They kept a lot of what they loved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be focused on Chiefy and Cortana, but I feel like I'm just hopeful that they bring in some new characters or extend the life of some established characters.
Definitely.
Versus just putting everybody in the background.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a lot of talk, apparently, whether this is true or not, you never know, but apparently 343 are getting a little bit more creative freedom this time because Microsoft are aware that their involvement in Halo 5 contributed towards what inevitably happened with it. So that makes me quite hopeful, because I think when it comes to any creative medium, especially something like a video game, if you have an idea for a story, and if you're developing that story, you have to be able to see it through to the end. And if you start changing things when you get very, very close to that end point, then it's not going to make sense. I mean, I hate to make a Jurassic comparison, but it's the same reason that Jurassic Park 3 flopped in many ways, because they made a lot of script changes towards the end, and because of that, the whole continuity around it started to fall apart. So I think that was really Halo 5's big issue, with obviously not tying into the marketing and everything like that, because so much got changed.
Yeah, so same could be said for Justice League.
yeah. But I think because of that, they're going to be a lot more conscious of that this time around. So hopefully we should get a really, really thoroughly planned out and developed story. And hopefully that comes with some more audio marketing as well, because I really enjoy it.
Yes,
I would love that. I know. I think we're all hoping that we get something similar to that. What other sets do you think they're gonna come out with as a part of this line?
They have to do a Wraith, and I hopefully we get a more traditional Combat Evolved style, or Halo 2, the traditional style Wraith. Always my favorite. And I think if we're gonna take the Warthogs and we're gonna take everything kind of back to their core, hopefully we take the Wraith back too. I think it definitely needs a traditional redesign for it. Yeah. So hopefully we get a Wraith tank with the traditional Covenant colors. Although I wouldn't be opposed to having a Banished tank either.
Yes.
I mean, I'm still waiting for a Banished Wraith here.
Yeah, that'd be great. Blister back. Give me that blister back. Give me some of that.
So in terms of this specific wave, I actually think that we're going to see a lot more Reach stuff as well. Because if you look at the helmet molds, they're very, very similar to the Halo Reach Army Trooper mold. And actually the prototypes that were shown at Toy Fair were white. So yes, you could say that was prototype colouring, but I'm sure that one of them had like a blue stripe on it, very similar to the Reach Army Trooper helmet. So I have a feeling that we're going to see the bulk of the sets being Infinite focused. So like I said earlier, Infinite blind bags, Infinite heroes, but I reckon we're going to get a taste of Reach in this line as well, which I think would be quite nice. And I'm hoping that, to be honest with you, Mega work closer with 343. So obviously they're working to tie into Infinite at the moment, but it would be really nice to see some callback Halo 2 sets once that comes to MCC on PC.
Agreed.
Then callback Halo 3 sets, Halo 4 sets, everything like that, I think could be quite successful.
I think the Phantom is due for a redesign as well.
Oh, yes. We've had, Can you believe it? We've had one Phantom, we've had 4 Pelicans.
Yeah.
Well, they did do a very nice job on the Spirit, so hopefully we get that level of quality for the Phantom.
Yeah.
They got to come out with some. I mean, the creative is the big bad now. They got to come out with some created something, right? Like what they're gonna come out with a Cortana figure. What's Cortana look like?
Do you think we see that, or do you think they hold that until after the game's released and then they release that in another wave? Because I feel like if we throw out, I mean, because if you have a set right now that has like a Cortana figure in her more updated version, and she's with Prometheans or she's with Forerunner soldiers, we automatically kind of make that leap that, Prometheans are in Halo Infinite. And I don't know if we're going to actually see those guys. So
like too much of a spoiler, you think?
Yeah, they might just hold it until the end. So like I'm thinking like in the traditional first lines, they might just release what we're more accustomed to. Like of course they're gonna have a Wraith tank in Halo Infinite. They'd be fools not to, because they've had it in every other Halo, and everyone would ride if there wasn't a Wraith tank, especially Krista.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably think that maybe they're going to release the more traditional sets and then hold back the spoilery sets. At least I'd hope that, because I wouldn't want the toys to spoil the plot for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We're gonna have to see a ghost in Halo Infinite, right? So give me. I mean, there's been a lot of ghosts. That's another one that they've produced a lot of. But give me a new little ghost. I think that would be cool.
It makes sense as well, because the last one was the banished one, so there would be no harm in going back to the classic design. But I'm gonna throw a curveball here. I don't actually think that we're going to see that many more buildable sets in this license. So look at the way Mega's gone recently. In off years, it's mainly just figure packs in smaller sets. So I reckon that we will get these 3 big sets with that wave, maybe like a couple of $10 sets, and then it will be figure packs, heroes, and blind bags. I genuinely think that will be the assortment.
I agree with that.
And then maybe if we're lucky, we'll get another wave of bigger buildable sets where they do Covenant stuff.
What do you think? I think maybe we've talked about this off air, but give me a Halo ring.
Yeah,
like they've been doing more of Mega in general. Has been doing more like with the Game of Thrones. They have the Red Keep, and I think they just released another one that they're going to put out there. The black? What is it? The Wall or something like that. Anyway,
yeah, there's one that's literally just gone up for pre-order today.
Right. Yeah. So give me a little Halo ring. I would love that. I don't know how they would do it with their pieces, but that'd be cool.
The nice little plaque.
Oh my god! And include a librarian figure.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, yes.
Love that.
That was a little brave wave there. I was going to say as well, if you're doing this series of smaller builds, then include Cortana with a smaller build of a Guardian.
Yeah.
Ooh, a Guardian would be nice to see too.
A Guardian could be cool. I mean, I feel like Guardians need to be in Infinite somewhere, because they're at the tail end of Halo 3, and they have to be incorporated in the story somehow.
I hope they just don't pull a Pirates of the Caribbean, in the Dead Man's Chest, they have the Kraken, and then in the third one, the Kraken's dead, it's over there. I hope they don't say like, there's all the junked Guardians that happened after this big battle. They're over there. They're all trashed.
Well, yeah, this is the thing that scares me, because they do keep talking about it as a reboot, and I'm like, no, please continue your story threads. Don't just drop them. I feel like that is the worst thing that a franchise can do, because if you drop all your story threads and then don't get the bounce back right with something new, which is entirely possible that it could be a mixed reception again, then you're essentially really, really shoehorning yourself and killing yourself off. Yeah. So I am so hopeful that we continue the story from Halo 5.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't. I don't know what you guys think about the Star Wars sequel trilogy, but it for me, it has a kind of a disjointed story. And so I hope we don't have that kind of like curve bump, speed bump when we go from 5 to Infinite.
My sense is that when they're talking about a soft reboot, and I don't think they've ever said, have they said soft reboot? They may have used some language that alludes to that. Frankie and Kiki and
I think it's
the team.
It's mainly been like a return to traditional Halo is what they're kind of.
Right. Yeah. My sense is that they're just going to simplify what's presented on screen, the amount of story elements, versus like, and I remember when we were doing Mission Debrief, we harped on the fact that when they had a graphic, when we did the Halo 5 series, they had a graphic as like, look at all this stuff that we've pulled into this story. It was like all these books and all this other media and the podcast, like all this stuff, and the Nightfall, that like, okay, we've incorporated all this into the story. So if you've actually digested, consumed all of that other stuff, this story, it's going to enhance the story, and it does, but it also complicated it way too much for the casual fan. And it felt like, like a DC movie where they're trying to cram in so much story into 2 hours when that thing needs to be like 2 different movies, right?
Well, I mean, if it's a Zack Snyder film, it's 3 hours. So that.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
No,
I feel like this could be a whole different podcast, but just the direction Halo 5 was going and what we ended up getting is so different. Because, I mean, I don't know if anyone remembers the very first demo at Sinion where it was just Osiris.
Yep.
And I mean, it still is just Osiris, isn't it? But I remember that in that very first demo, they find Chief's assault rifle on Sinion. So something entirely different was going on in that game, and it really bothers me that we're never going to know what it was, because I get the feeling that would have been so cool.
I personally think Chief was more of a villain in Halo 5. And I think once they realized that everyone was freaking out that Locke was the hero, they dialed it back quick.
That would make sense from Microsoft's perspective as well.
So I think that's
like
why
their flagship, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a huge cut in the story of what the hell Chief is doing in Halo 5. So I think a lot of it had to do with that he was a little more on the bad guy bandwagon, or at least we could do that from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
Who's really the
Perhaps
villain?
he didn't realize Cortana was as bad as she was, and he was trying to still ally with her because he thought that she was doing something for good, and then it transpires she isn't. Yeah, that could be a whole separate podcast. But what I was going to say, just bringing it back to Mega Construx, I hope that in this license they do call a little bit back from Halo 5. So 2 things that I'd really potentially like to see as heroes figures. One, the Warden Eternal, because why have we not got him yet?
I would love that.
And secondly, because from a photography standpoint, I really like playing around with light at the moment and like shining light through figures. And because I think he's quite a cool character and quite memorable, I would not complain if we got a AI figure of Governor Sloan.
Okay, sure.
I dig it.
The other thing that we've kicked around, and this plays into who we are and our brand, is why haven't we got a Huragok yet? Like, if those Huragok are still around, maybe they're going to finally incorporate those into Halo Infinite. Give me a Huragok. That'd be great.
See, now that would be great to tie in with, like Tom was talking about, that they're kind of focusing more on like a Reach style.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if you did a Reach set that had a Huragok in it. It would be something new. It'd be something... I mean, if you put a Huragok in a set, I'm picking it up.
Are you ready for this set idea live on air? Because I've just come up with this.
Here we go.
Generator shutdown. A build of one of the Covenant. I've already worked it up. It should be Jammer shutdown. There we go. A build of one of the Covenant jammers that you shut down in. Yep, I can't remember the mission name, but yep. Includes 2 UNSC Army troopers, a Huragok, and a Reach Brute Miner in super articulation.
Ooh, I love that.
See, now I'm going to be disappointed, Tom, if none of these sets happen. I'm already going to hold you to it if we don't get a Librarian figure with our Halo ring. I'm going to be like, Tom, this is all your fault for not allowing me to have this, like, expectation.
I'm just saying, I'm available.
Just...
Right. For hire.
Someone get this man a job.
You and many other people that are available right now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's cut it there. Anything you guys want to talk about real quickly about what we've seen in the community? I think one of the things we want to incorporate in the show is highlighting other content creators when it comes to toys and Mega Construx more specifically. But anything out there that you've seen that you want to at least mention that some of our listeners might want to check out? Matt, have you seen anything out there that's worth a look?
I think Tom was gonna bring one up, but I don't actually have one. But I'll let him introduce him.
Okay.
Yeah. I am gonna completely change what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna throw a curveball here. I am gonna shout out more shots. So I assume that that's MOORE shots. Mm-hmm. I assume a few of you will have seen him in the spotlight already. He does some really, really cool toy photography. He uses a lot of the Play Arts Kai and the 3A Halo figures, so the big scale, like really, really high quality figures. And he does really, really cool photos that experiment a lot with kind of like smoke and visual effects and stuff like that. And he's been really inspiring me to actually use more visual effects in my own photos and kind of experiment with how I can incorporate them as part of my style. So he's been a big inspiration on the photography front at the moment.
Very cool.
Nice.
Awesome. The one, and you've probably heard of this guy already. He's gotten some decent numbers on YouTube over the last year since I've kind of followed him. I found him when I started collecting about a year ago, a little over a year ago now. And he created this crazy pelican, like this giant pelican. Brickman117. Find him on YouTube and just enjoy what he's up to. It's been a trip to see what the work that this guy's been putting into it. It's been fun.
That pelican is breathtaking.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Anything? Oh, Matt, why don't you plug yourself as we get out of here? Where can people find you, your stuff, all that sort of thing?
Definitely. Well, you can tweet to me at Pure Genius Lego. You can also watch some of my stop motion animation at Pure Genius Lego on YouTube. Some of the videos that I'm doing right now, I'm working on right now, will be showing up in the Podcast Evolve channel. So look for those. And you can also listen to my podcast, which is the Halo Mega Construct podcast.
Very nice. Tom, how about yourself?
Hit me up on Twitter at Tom_Jurassic, mainly because that's probably the easiest place of keeping track of all of the Halo content I make at the moment. And
is Tom_evolved available? Because you might want to think about it.
Tempting. Well, I mean, yeah. Oh.
That has a nice ring to it, though.
Hit me up at Tom_evolved.
There we go.
I don't know why I went all ASMR then. I proper leaned into the mic then. Do you know what? Hold up. I'm going to do a live search right now. Yeah, it is. Okay.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
We're rebranding on the fly.
That's something to consider. But yeah, for now, Tom_Jurassic. But potentially in the future, Tom_evolved.
Love it. And then check me out on Mission Debrief on this channel here. We're on YouTube, and we're going to post these on our RSS feed. So Podcast Evolve has all sorts of good stuff in terms of if you're a fan of the Halo lore. So check us out. We have a book club. We have our Mission Debrief, which breaks down all of the missions from all of the games. Then we have our regular show, and now we have Builds with Blocks. So this is great. That'll do it for our show. Thanks for joining us. If you like the show, feel free to support us at Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.